Welcome back to the Nerdrotic channel. My name is Gary Beekler. I am live in San Francisco, California, and I come to you from nerdrotic.com. And down in San Diego is my good friend and co-host Dennis Bethelkis. How are you, Dennis?
I'm doing good. I'm actually gonna see my camera is actually mimicking Cloak and
Oh,
Dagger.
yeah, we're doing a Cloak and Dagger recap. We're gonna do it all like this. Like, what the hell? We're just missing the Halo thing or whatever the reverse Halo thing they're doing.
The darkened edges, yes, the
Yeah, it
bird.
took me 9 episodes to realize, like, why, because I sometimes I have to watch the show on my phone. I'm like, I cannot see the show. So yeah, they put some kind of filter. Is it because it's a Instagram thing? So they're all, hey, all the kids, they like Instagram, so let's put an Instagram filter on our show. Because the kids, they like things and stuff. And they'll watch because of that. Hi everybody in the chat. We are fulfilling a promise. We said we would come back to Cloak and Dagger. We probably would have covered every episode, but there was a lot of traveling going on the last couple weeks, so it didn't work out. So we ended up doing the first 2 episodes, episode 5, and now we're going to do the last 2 episodes. Okay, so why don't you bring us up to speed?
So fairly quickly, what's been happening in the last couple episodes is they've been gaining their powers, trying to use them. They've become more experienced with them, both Tandy and Tyrone. Tyrone has hooked up with O'Reilly at this point to help take down Connors, who killed his brother. And Tandy has actually found out she hooked up with Mina Hess, whose father is Ivan Hess. It was one of her father's best friends that used to work with them at Roxxon. He's in a catatonic state and finds out that there was a memo out there that Roxxon covered up that her father said, we need to have this shielding, and they skimped on the shielding, which led to the accident. And she ends up actually finding out that her father is not a great guy. He used to beat the shit out of her mother and all that kind of stuff. So she ends up taking the money that Scarsborough had offered, because originally she was going to take him down, but then she decided to just take the money.
Just take the money and run.
Yeah.
And there goes another opportunity to have a good dad. So long, so much for that. Oh, Tyrone's dad's pretty good. So I'll but yeah, we couldn't have 2 good fathers in a show. So, forget that.
There was a lot of averages on that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I this episode was all right. It was okay. But the show is kind of panning out the way I kind of thought it would, and I'm sure everybody else thought it would. And I'm not sure. I'll preface this by saying I thought this was a decent episode of dramatic television, but it's not a superhero show. It's Tyrone and Tandy, or Tandy Tyrone, whatever you want to call it. We get a little bit of their powers here and there. And this is the kind of show you would make in the 90s or the early 2000s.
It actually mirrors Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. pretty well, though, since Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is pretty much in the same kind of tone and same kind of speed, honestly, when you think about it.
A little bit. I don't know if I see that. I somewhat enjoyed season 1 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but that was also because it was one of the only shows out there at the time. We had some CW stuff, but we are now like post Daredevil and Defenders, and that wasn't the greatest, but just post Daredevil, Legion. There's a lot of other stuff. We're deep into the CW, and Runaways, which I would compare this show to Runaways, if anything. They seem like they occupy the same universe, and I would say it's almost on the level of Runaways. I enjoyed Runaways more. If you haven't watched Runaways and you do like this show, then I highly recommend you watch Runaways. It doesn't have as much talking about. Well, no, it kind of does. It has a lot of talking about feelings in hallways. It does, and not a lot of powers. There's no costumes. And there's a very slow burn. Now, if this show gets really, really good and goes 10 seasons, then I would understand like waiting so long to bring out basically your superheroes until the end. And even with this episode, we hear we have the teacher talking about the hero's journey. And I don't know if we've seen that, maybe from Tyrone. I don't know if we've seen it from Tandy. to be honest with you. And yeah, so we're
Yeah,
gonna have to see
kind of.
that in one episode.
Yeah.
They seem to be right where they were about episode 3 to me. They've gone through some stuff together, but then they went back.
They've uncovered a lot of stuff. That's the whole thing,
They have.
and through their respective stories. And I want to say thank you to Dakota Stanton for the $5. I'm not a fan of this show, but I am wondering if you guys are reviewing the Gifted season 2. Yes, we are. Also, did you guys see the SDCC trailer? We did not. I didn't anyway.
You know, I haven't seen the Gifted trailer. That's like the one I haven't seen. I will watch it though. Yes, we will be reviewing the Gifted. Absolutely.
And yeah, so I think they've uncovered a lot of stuff. They're and you know what? This episode we had the father, the priest was talking about the hero's journey, and he was kind of mapping out what they've been going through all along. And I finally was like, okay, they're actually just kind of spelling it out for you what's happening in this show so far, the reason why you haven't seen all this stuff, why you haven't seen them with their powers, with their, and I'm like, okay, I get it. You're doing a really slow burn at this point. But yes, I want to see more of their powers. For me, this series isn't horrible, but and like I was telling Gary in our very long pre-production meeting, it's not something that I watch live most of the time unless we're doing, this. But I do remember, I'm like, oh yeah, there's another episode of Cloak and Dagger. I can go and watch that. So I will pop it on once a week. I'm gonna watch it.
Yes. Yeah. And I feel the same way. It's not a terrible show. But it has so much potential, and I just question kind of this approach to it, because I think if they were fully established superheroes by episode 6, I think you'd have a bigger audience at this point.
Yeah. For one, I just want to see a show for once that just starts with the hero being the hero already. And I mean, I know they did it with Black Lightning where he had already quit being a hero, but again, he wasn't a hero at that point. He had stopped being a hero. Just start with a show where the hero is the hero already. You don't need to do an origin story. You don't need to build up everything. If you want to do the buildup of it, you can do it in one episode as to an origin story of the flashback.
Yeah. Right now, you're just masking a drama in a superhero show.
Yeah.
And that's, if your audience is supposed to be on Freeform, it's, I would say, mostly female. And women
It's
like
teens.
to see, and teens, and teens, like, I don't know how many male teens are watching Freeform, my friend. But they like to see things happen too. Okay. I just they like drama, but you can have drama and action. It's possible. Like I said, I don't hate it, but come on, guys. Hello, Talim. We will get to you guys in chat in just a bit. We're gonna break down. Not a ton happened this episode. It was just pretty much set up for the finale, which looks good. I mean, the trailer for the finale looked like, okay, man, this is what I was talking about.
I did like the episode with Ivan Hess being stuck in his mind and them having to get him out.
Yeah,
that was actually a really good episode.
The Lotus Eaters. Yeah.
Yes, and that was actually my favorite episode of the season so far, because
mine too.
Yeah, you see them using their powers, and you see them, it's the Groundhog Day effect kind of, but it's done differently, where you have them having to work together. They're not really working together, and they're having to bust a third person out of their own mind, and it's a puzzle to be solved at the same time. So it was a little bit different take on the Groundhog Day, which I liked.
Yeah, and you saw the nature of whatever this energy power is that Roxanne was messing with, and what it does. Because the biggest thing we were questioning when we were doing the recap earlier was like, who or what is the villain? So we're slowly seeing a villain origin too.
Yeah,
we can talk about at the end. So
yeah. So we start off with Auntie Chantel, who's Evita's aunt, going around the city doing some voodoo and just basically trying to find something, is what it looks like. And she sees a Roxanne pipe. She ends up leading to a Roxanne pipe coming out of the ground. And we see the priest, of course, talking about the hero arc as well, the hero's journey. And that's what this entire theme is about the hero's journey. We see Tandy crushing up some drugs and taking out some money out of her stash. And then Detective O'Reilly, we see her as her boyfriend Fuchs is actually getting bagged up after being found dead in his refrigerator.
In the refrigerator. So Gail Simone should be very happy at this moment that a man was put in the refrigerator. She can now close down her website.
Oh, and before I go a little further here, so yeah, spoiler alert. There we go. We should have probably done this a little earlier, but spoiler alert.
Totally. Yeah, I've got mine unpacked out. So spoilers. Sorry, folks. Yeah.
Thank you again, Viking Bitch.
Yeah. Thanks, Viking
Bitch. So we have Detective O'Reilly, of course, at her boyfriend's death scene, if you will, and she sees some blood splattered on the umbrella in the stand and finds the murder weapon. She puts on some gloves, grabs the murder weapon. One of the techs grabs it from her and says, "Get her out of here," which is a good thing. They finally got her out of there. Tyrone's parents meet with the cops, and they're talking about Detective Connors being arrested and that they're looking at all the evidence because they had Detective Connors on video confessing to Billy's murder, Tyrone's brother's murder.
Yes.
And
but is it going to stick?
Is it going to stick? Exactly. And the cop says, we'll keep you informed of everything. And Tyrone's pissed off. He's like, well, that's it? You guys aren't going to do anything, is what he's telling his parents. And he says, you didn't believe me then. He goes, now we have evidence of this. And he's just really pissed off. And his dad's just like, get in the car. We're going to talk about it later. And there's a reason behind that as well. So Auntie Chantel comes back, and Evita has been waiting up for her all night. She's like, where the hell have you been? And so they start talking about the destruction of the city, that it's coming. And that Roxxon is actually kind of hastening it along with whatever they're drilling up. She goes, there's something evil that they're working with, and it's going to actually make the city destroyed a lot faster than it is.
It's going to blow it up. So we are back to very civic-minded superheroes, but at least this time, like the city is going to basically explode, or, there'll be a bunch of crazy terrors, as Ivan called them. The terrors from possibly, but yeah, I that's something. Hey, it's a superhero trope. I totally understand that, but that was always my thing with Arrow. Is he's always, we're gonna save this city. It's like, God, he loves that city, man.
He does. You have failed this city.
You have failed this city. When I left San Diego, I was all, I failed you, San Diego. I must leave now. And we will come back to avenge you someday. My sweet, sweet city.
So Tandy ends up going back to her ways of drugging guys and rich guys. And instead of taking their money now, she's found a way of actually stealing their hope and using it for herself to get high.
Yeah, I like that.
I did too.
The one thing I was wondering about, because they weren't really super clear on what pills she was taking, so I was gonna assume it was probably speed, Adderall, something like that, because when she quit, there was no real kick involved. So if there were oxys or Vicodin or something like that, it would be till halfway through season 3 before she was done or season 2 before she was done kicking. Yeah, she can just stop them and go, okay, I'm gonna be a superhero now. It's like, no,
I'm all better now.
I'm all better now.
Happy pills. That's what I'm on.
Yep.
So we see her, and we also get a Stan Lee cameo.
And one of the better ones, I have to say, I have seen.
It's a Stan Lee, Andy Warhol, if you will, on the wall, which was kind of cool. And we both want one.
So. Yes, I do. I definitely want one. Viking bitch, I want one in leather. Okay.
Oh no,
I'll pay.
Man, so we see again the priest talking about the hero's journey and talking about the redemption and the fall and all this kind of thing. And while he's talking about that, we see Tyrone and their mother both losing their respective shit. Her at work and him at school. And he actually ends up punching out a kid and going into detention and talking to the priest. And the talk of the priest does not go well.
No. He's not very good at his job. Well, I mean, Tyrone is doing the typical teenager. You don't understand me. Or wait.
Yeah.
Let me get my Tyrone voice. You don't understand me, man.
Sorry, that's not a Cloak voice. Cloak is supposed to sound like this.
Well, he's supposed to be kind of like monotone almost.
Hey, Dagger, come over here. Let's go fight some crime.
Hey, Bobby, give me some propane there, Bobby.
You're not my paper boy.
Oh wow, we're just gonna get some. I'm just seeing the
Sorry,
hate comments right now.
That was a Mike Judge deep cut right there.
It was. So Tandy ends up visiting Mina Hess and Ivan Hess, and is going to have lunch with them as well. So while this is going on, and so the priest and Tyrone are talking about. He tells Tyrone to hold out his hands, and of course is doing the whole crucifixion thing with the books and everything. And he says, "Tell him about the War of 1812 and when it ended and how it ended, and that there were no winners because, of course, the war kept raging on in New Orleans. A lot of innocent people were killed." And basically it's not getting through to him at all. And Tandy's when she's having lunch with Ivan and Mina, Ivan starts talking about like it was yesterday, because it was yesterday essentially for him. 8 years has not passed for him, about her father, and he just can't believe it, and how such a good guy he was. And Tandy gets up because she can't take it at this point. And Mina says, "Hey, I've been thinking about this. I want you I'm offering you a job at Roxxon." And she holds out her hand and basically
Steals her hope.
Steals her hope. Yeah, which is kind of fucked up.
And it's temporary, but it makes the other person feel like utter shit. And Tandy uses her millennial logic and goes, "Now you see how it feels."
Yeah, now you see how I feel.
Yeah.
And we see Mina actually kill a bee, and this is something that she would have never done, because bees she equates with her father when they went out, when she went out as a child, and there used to be bees all over the place in the area that they're at. So yeah, we see how far down the rabbit hole she's gone on that. And of course Tandy takes off in a huff, and we go back to the father talking about regression being a trick, the hero's regression, and how it's actually just a really bad trick. And in the meantime, we see Tandy bailing out her old boyfriend, Liam. Thank you, Movie Fanobi. $9.99, living vicariously through Gary's avocado diet. Turkey avocado BLT sandwich. Dad is 75 Saturday. Saw MI Fallout in Dolby. Love you guys. See you tomorrow night. Gotta go.
Awesome.
Thanks, Movie Fanobi.
Tell us how it was tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Exactly. I forgot it was even coming out today. And turkey and avocado is a wonderful sandwich.
It is an awesome sandwich. Yes. So Tandy ends up bailing out Liam, and Liam's like, "What the hell took you so long? I thought you were gone." And she's like, "Oh, I was just trying to get the money together to get you back out." And
do you realize it's been 9 episodes, woman? Yeah. I've been sitting in a holding cell. Where was it?
It's been 6 episodes since he's been locked up. So
yeah 6. I'm sorry. How much time do you think has passed?
At this point, only a week. Maybe
that's kind of a week, maybe 2. That's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Mary and Viking bitch were saying they're addicted to neurotic, and I said, "There's no 12-step for us. There's always a 12-step." But that's awesome to hear. No 13th step and whoa.
Thank you, Dakota Stanton. $5. I'm gonna go play Cards Against Humanity. Just one question: are you doing MI Fallout review? We are not.
No. Well, I mean, when I see it, but it'll probably be I might see it this weekend. Maybe. So maybe Monday.
Yeah, I'm not going to see it. I'm probably going to wait till it comes out on HBO. I refuse to give the Church of Scientology money. So there we go. Tandy ends up taking Liam to her church, and showing him where she lives. Mistake number 1. And she's saying, "Oh, I just realized this. This is the church where I want to get married in, and I want to start a new life, and all this kind of stuff." And then
he's all, "What?"
Yeah, he's like, "Where did this come from?"
Yeah, whoa.
And she kisses him, and she steals his hope.
Yep.
Because we see that she's addicted to this at this point.
And at this point, I'm like, I don't know if I don't like Tandy very much. I'm like 9 episodes in, and Christ, I'm in recovery. I go to meetings, but this is a fictional character. I'm finding it very hard to squeeze out any sympathy for her whatsoever. It is interesting how they've kind of flip-flopped the whole stealing hope thing, and which it is kind of a flip-flop of powers from Cloak, who he actually makes he doesn't steal darkness from people. He makes them feel more dark, and they're doing that too. But it is an interesting take on our power. I wish they would do more with it. Like I wish they would have more powers. Basically, that's what I'm trying to get at.
They keep building on it, so that's what I kind of like. They're
going to build on it, and then we build towards the last 10 minutes of next episode. But
yeah.
Yeah.
And so Tyrone is, really into it with the priest at this point, and he's telling him that God doesn't exist, and that the reason why the Father, is there is that he's hiding from the world, and that he has no friends, and basically, he's leaving. And the priest is like, "No, you're not leaving until I tell you can leave," and grabs Tyrone, and of course they go into the darkness. And at this point, Tandy is seeing Liam in their wedding. And so she's there. She sees herself being, in her bridesmaid dress and all this kind of stuff. And she's walking up, and she grabs Liam. Everything starts shaking around her. Like the entire world starts looking like it's going to fall apart. In the meantime, Tyrone sees the priest, and that he was drinking and behind the wheel of a car and killed a little girl, smashed into a tree. And that's what his darkness is. And he's just sitting there drinking out of the bottle. He unscrews it and is drinking, and that's what happened to him. That's why he became a priest. And then he sees a door and goes into the door, and we see this white light, and he ends up in the church where Tandy's getting married to Liam. And he's like, "Tandy, what the hell are you doing?" And that breaks her out of it, and she looks toward the doors of the church and doesn't see Tyrone there, of course. And that breaks Tyrone and the priest out of their little headlock that they're in. And the priest is all shooken up at this point, and Tyrone's apologizing to him. He's like, "Just go." At this point, because Tyrone now knows his darkest secret. In the meantime, O'Reilly is in the bar. She's been drinking.
She's been drinking the whole time, which would totally suck, by the way, knowing everybody's darkest secret. Yeah. So poor O'Reilly.
Yeah, and she's just pretty much finished an entire bottle of Irish whiskey. Which I was kind of surprised, that's impressive.
That's Well,
I mean,
I've seen some little ladies tip.
Oh, I have too. Trust me, I've seen it. But it still impresses me whenever I see it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely impressive. There was this girl named Charlie who drank me under the table at a Pizza Hut one time, and it was embarrassing. She was like a hobbit, and she just killed me at quarters. Oh, I was waiting for that, Marks. O'Reilly.
And as she's drinking, Connors comes in. He's been released. And he raises a glass to Fuchs, and that pisses her off. And hanging on the wall, because it's a cops bar, they have the old billy clubs. And we've seen these billy clubs being made, like how they're being made, and how they used to be called backbreakers, because the cops back then used to break backs with them. Yep. And she grabs the one off the wall and hits Connors in the head, drawing blood. Other cops grab
right at the point where he's the priest is still telling the story of the hero and the villain, and he gets to the point where this is where you see the origin of the villain, and then they focus on that backbreaker thing, and that's when she grabs it.
Yeah. And so she ends up she hits him once, the other cops grab her, and then Connors just beats the shit out of her while the other cops stand around and watch her. And he says, "You think that little video is going to stop me?" And he basically just admits that he went out and killed her boyfriend.
Yeah.
And there's nothing she can do about it.
And all the cops are standing around, and I'm like, this is the worst town ever. Maybe it just needs to blow up. If I was a cop, I would hate this show. Not nice to the cops, especially when the mom is having the talk with Tyrone, and she says, she's talking about like why she doesn't want to do anything because she's afraid the cops will basically kill him too.
Yeah.
And she said, what kind of world do we live in? Where we're like, you're not safe. You'll get killed basically. And then, and when I hear that stuff, especially on TV, I cringe quite a bit, but
what I did like was the scene with Evita. Evita goes and finds Tyrone, and she says, "Hey, we need to talk about what the hell's going on. I know what's happening to you. I know how to fix this. We need to talk." And he's like, "What the hell?" He goes, I'm having a bad day. And Tandy comes over at this point and says, "You need to get the hell out of my mind," is what she's telling Tyrone. And Evita's like, no, little white girl, you need to back off at this point. And that's when Tandy grabs her and goes into her hope. And she's a doctor looking over some patients. And Tandy goes to steal her hope. And she's like, no, and pushes her away and breaks out of it. And Tandy's like, how the hell did you do that?
I appreciate the fact that her hope was being a doctor, but I love that her hope had a really severely injured man in a bed. Did you notice that? I was like, wow, couldn't she just be putting a band-aid on a child or something like that? But no, she had some guy with his head wrapped up. She's all, hi, I'm a doctor. Woo.
Well, you wouldn't have known he was, that she was a doctor unless there was a really severely.
The coat and the and then like, what insurance are you? I don't know. Something like that.
Do you have any insurance? And she gets freaked out. Whoa, crazy Carlos! Geez, 1999. Don't know if anyone else has bought up Attack on Titan season 3. I love that show.
I love that show. We haven't talked about it, but I dig it. That's a severely twisted show that we'll talk about on Friday night. Thank you, Crazy Carlos.
Yes, thank you. Oh my God,
my friend,
living up to your name. That's all. With that, and so Avita takes off because she realizes, she goes, "You're her," so she realizes that she's the second, and takes off.
Yep.
And Tyrone and Tandy get into a really ugly fight where they're basically just going back and forth about getting out of their mind, and Tyrone's like, what the hell are you doing? You're what you're doing is wrong, taking advantage of other people, taking their hope. And he says, I'm going to be there in your mind all this time, every time you go and do this shit. He goes, I'm going to stop you.
I'll see you in your dreams.
Yeah, I'll see you in your dreams. And that's when she pulls a dagger on him.
Yep.
And he doesn't flinch.
Nope.
Yeah. And that's just, yeah.
So that's what I was talking about, though. It's like, this is something, we're talking about the hero's journey. They're even telling us this story. They're laying it out for us. And we're in the penultimate episode. This is something, for me, if it was like episode 9 of 13, okay, fine. That'd be fine. But it's a little late for this,
Yeah. I understand where you're coming from on that. I thought it was okay. I know where it's coming from an ABC,
I do too. Story. But I mean, the reason I understand it, and it's not bad. That's the thing here, is like, it's not poorly executed television. It is good. The kids are pretty good actors. Other than the shaky cam, it's pretty good cinematography, pretty good storytelling. But I'm watching a superhero show. Okay, that's what I came here. I am the audience you wanted. Me and a bunch of girls. We read this comic book, and you want us as a built-in audience. You want to keep us. Then show us what we came for.
I'm actually liking the girl who plays Tandy as an actress. I think she, to get you to hate her that much, she's doing a really good job. Whereas Tyrone, I'm just kind of like, yeah, he's just there.
Tyrone was always going to be tough because he was supposed to be dark and brooding. So they definitely given him more personality than they have in the comic. Tandy is I think annoying. I don't know if I hate her. It's a little annoying.
No, I think she's just immature, and that's what she's supposed to be.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's also really forced immaturity, and she's making a lot of decisions that are plot reasons and not like real reasons. True. I mean, I still raised 2 teenagers. I understand.
Yeah, I think she's doing good with what she's given, Yeah. So Tandy ends up returning to the church and finds it ransacked and all her money gone, of course, because we saw this coming from about a mile away. And she goes to her mom's house. And we end up, she actually leaves and goes to her mom's house. So in the meantime, we have Mina Hess, who's out in the woods there, and she's talking to Scarsborough on the phone. She's like, yeah, I'm out here right now. I'm going to the pipes. I'm going to go see. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why the pressure's building up. I'm looking at it right now. Thanks. Bye. And as she's looking out at this pipe, there's 2 workers that are by one of the pipes, and the pipe explodes, and they get hit by this gas, and they become terrors and just start harassing after her.
And she runs.
Yeah. She screams and runs. So they infect the workers at this point. O'Reilly, in the meantime, hears the call that they found Fuchs' murderer, and everybody's going in to go and get him. And this is ominous, of course.
Yep.
And Tyrone's mom comes in and says, hey, we need to talk now. Then now is the time to talk. She goes, "What I was trying to do, and as Gary said before, I'm trying to protect you from everything." Earlier, when you were younger, 8 years ago, when you said you knew who the cop was, the reason why we didn't pursue it, I didn't want the target on you. I didn't want you to die. She goes, "You put the target right back on you again." And he was saying, that's kind of a fucked up world to live in,
Yeah.
If
and then
you
the cops
can't,
show up.
yeah. And the cops show up and they framed him for Fuchs' murder.
And of course, the cops show up, and then like over the bullhorn, "You are under arrest for the murder of blah blah blah," because that's what cops do all the time.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. They don't come in
No.
subtly at all.
Yeah, yeah.
So Tandy ends up back at her mom's house. She walks in. She's like, "Mom, how?" She's talking to her mom. Of course, we don't see her mom. And as soon as we see her mom come out, we see the hit lady that's with her, who takes a shot at Tandy, and Tandy makes a run, hides behind the wall there. And the hit lady goes, "I'm going to, Scarsborough sends regards. He wants me to kill both you and your mom. Your mom's going to die here in 3 seconds unless you come out." She's counting down 3, 2. And we leave it off with 1 and Tandy's hands glowing. And that's where we leave it off.
Yeah. And we know Tandy's going to like throw one of her daggers, and it's finally on at this point.
Yeah.
And then, the best thing, there was a couple, with the explosion, we saw the tears, so we see what's going to happen. And then we see the trailer for next week. And yeah, it looks like they might get a costume at some point. I don't know. We saw the cloak.
Yeah.
2 episodes ago, we saw the legit cloak. I don't know if that was just a Easter egg for a costume or
no. It's because it was made by his brother, so he says it actually helps him with the transition of it's easier for him to use his powers with that because it's connected to his brother.
Good.
And so he's been carrying it with him. We saw it actually in his bag when he was at school, so he carries it around with him all the time.
Now, where Tandy gets her costume, I'm not sure. And that would definitely require a little more setup than 1 episode. But it was, it was okay. I would definitely 6.57 out of 10. It's not terrible. It was good enough to come back and talk about it. We do like our superhero shows here. We do.
Yeah, we do.
Give them all a fair shake. If I sat through an entire season of Star Trek Discovery, by God, this show deserves me watching it. Okay. We're in the no pants zone, Marks. You're right. And now it's time to get to the best chat on YouTube.
Exactly. And I scroll up here as much as possible. Grevlin says the thing about Cloak and Dagger is that it feels like it has smart people putting it together. The episode structures, music, pace, it's mature, more mature than it should be. And again, what the hell is?
Yeah. I mean, and it's on Freeform, and this is not for me. Okay, I understand that. But I mean, it doesn't take much to engage Dennis and I on a superhero show. If you have superhero action, you can have all kinds of crazy shit around it, and we'll put up with it. Mary Ashmead, thank you for the $2 super chat. I quit watching after you guys quit casting too. Yeah. But now we're back. Sorry. So every time we do a show, we will finish it in some form or another. We won't just bail out. If it's just going to be a one and done, we're going to label it Nerdotic Premieres, kind of like we did with The Alienist, and kind of like we did with Bobcat Goldthwait's TV show. Like, we'll watch the first episode, tell you what we think, and then bail out. This one we had always intended on coming back, and I was going to keep up with it, but we had VidCon and then Comic-Con and all kinds of stuff. So, hi, Feisty.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Random Game User 42 says, I think with the Expanse, no, sorry, that's Expanse stuff. Artemis Overeasy says it's not totally a train wreck, it's just slow. Slow as fuck, in my opinion. I like their powers, but they need to unleash some plot. Like, I don't care about mopey teen Hanks. Sorry.
And that's part of the, like, not for us, but I could not agree more. I'm like, oh God, I get enough of this at home, please.
A Viking bitch says it's so great that we can disagree and not kill each other.
I agree. I agree.
Mako says first Castle Rock, now Cloak and Dagger. Dennis's heart won't be able to take it. Castle Rock, I have a lot more problems with than I do with Cloak and Dagger. Tell you the truth.
I'm not there yet. Castle Rock could potentially could frustrate me, but I'm not quite there yet.
I think episode 4 will probably send me over the edge. We'll find out next week.
Yeah, we'll find out. I have more happened in the first 3 episodes of Castle Rock than this show.
Not really.
Oh,
Actually,
yeah,
they solved a
definitely.
lot. They solved a shitload more in this show than they did in the first 3 episodes
No.
of.
What did they solve?
They solved what the terror stuff.
No,
That
in the first 3 episodes. I said the
in the
first
first
3
3
episodes of this show and the first 3 episodes of Castle Rock, I would say at least we found out the father who killed the father. I was way more. They were barely powered up in episode 3. I mean, but I mean,
Thank you.
listen, this could be. I'm not going to say that Castle Rock's a better show than this, though. That's another show we're covering. Please watch the video. We're not.
Thank you, Feisty, for the $4.99.
Thank you, Feisty. Did you say anything? If
I
you
don't
did,
know.
I only watched the first 2 episodes. It is worth watching the rest, or is it worth watching the rest, or should I watch more Farscape? Watch more Farscape and then go back and watch this. You work at a comic store. It's good to watch all the superhero shows too.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to stay informed for your audience.
Kids are going to be.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not kids, but maybe the adults will be asking about this.
No, you'll get. I'm sure you get asked, Feisty. Yeah.
Even Mako says here, how similar is this show to the comics? It's very far removed from the comics.
Very far removed. Absolutely, could not be farther removed.
Yeah. Let's put it this way. Originally, they were 2 teenagers who were drug addicts that were taken off the street and experimented on and got their powers and then kind of dumped out in the street to handle their powers on their own. So they were homeless kids, basically, homeless drug addict kids. Completely different than what this show is.
And Cloak's power is he goes into a darkness realm that he can actually. That's how he teleports.
Yeah.
And he can pull people into it. He's actually a little more powerful than Dagger. Dagger's got her powers too, and they've since retconned it since then. But I'm talking about the '80s version. And they had their costumes and everything in the first.
And they could feed each other. She could feed him with light. He could feed her with darkness.
And they balanced each other out too.
Yeah.
She's the one thing who could stop him. Because Cloak was always kind of on the verge of being a villain. His darkness was enveloping him as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
And he's basically a floating head.
Essentially the cloak. Cloak. It's really kind of cool. It's literally a cloak with just this floating head inside the cloak.
There's Brian Smart was able to figure out where they are. It's next to impossible to figure out where the Cloak and Dagger action figures are because they're behind Zatanna up there, behind her. So
Viking Bitch says, I guess I didn't watch this one. What the hell was I watching? Shit, it felt like it took all day to get through it.
She was part of the vote. I mean, I totally went against the patrons on this one, but clicks, Viking Bitch, you understand.
Oh man, that was actually pretty funny. Pen Farm Girl says Runaways and even Gifted are a bit better than this and all the CW stuff.
Oh yeah,
the Gifted.
The Gifted. You just don't like Stephen Moyer, and I understand that. If there's something with an actor in it you don't like, it's hard to get over that. That's fine.
The Gifted.
Gifted, there was powers, real powers.
Polaris. Powers, but they didn't use them. That was the whole thing. Again, they kind of used them off camera.
You can't say they used them in this show and then didn't use them in the
No, they didn't use them in this show either, but I'm saying they really didn't. We have Blink and then they go, oh, you know what, she's going to use it in one episode, and then we're going to say, you know what, she's too tired, she can't use her powers for the rest of the season.
They did that for 3 episodes. She's beat,
she's too tired,
she needs little nappers.
Yeah, exactly, she needs a juice box.
Runaways, the only thing that this show did before Runaways did was actually run away. We had people run away. The Runaways didn't run away until the very end of the very last episode.
Yeah. And the Gifted, for a bunch of mutants that were on the run, they stayed in one place for an awful long time.
They did.
Viking Bitch says, I told a coworker about my rage quitting, and she said, that is how kids talk to each other. They are always telling each other to kill themselves. This show is not for me.
Is that how kids talk? That's not how we talk. Well, I mean, we tried to find ways to kill ourselves, but it wasn't on purpose. It was just bad decisions. Viking Bitch, the commercials I could not take. When you watch the commercials, you're all, this is not a network for me. Definitely not.
I would get up in between the commercials, and go and do something else. And then when I hear it came back on, I would come back.
There's the only one that like totally personifies. I'm sorry, younger people, but it is my rite of passage as an old fart to talk shit about younger people. Okay, so like you guys will get your time, but when that one girl says, "Which bracelet makes me look hella woke?" I'm like, that personifies your generation right there.
It made me
bracelet makes me look hella woke.
But see, that actually made me laugh in a way of like, so
I know
are
it
you
was
making
supposed to
fun
be
of it?
funny.
Yeah.
They're making fun of it, but then not.
Not exactly.
Yeah.
Japeezy Freeborn says, "Beware of hallways where the feelings monsters lurk."
They did. That should be, yeah. Since everybody's making a comic these days, we should, yeah. Feelings in hallways.
Yeah, feelings
That'll
in
be ours.
hallways. Grevlin says, "Cloak and Dagger needs to be on a different channel. Have you seen the fucked up commercials? I mean, scary."
I did, right? Fucking. I had to. It was very hard for me not to stick my pen in my eye. I was like, I need my eye, but maybe not that much, because I'll keep seeing these commercials.
James Hayes, I think the writers took that whole journey rather than destination thing too seriously when it comes to feelings in hallways.
Damn straight.
Hey, it could have been a lot different. We could have had, Tyrone holding those books the entire time and just being told, what happened in the War 1812?
Dude, the writers for this show is still looking for their fucking Easter eggs. Okay. Know what I'm saying?
Artemis Over Easy says, "Same here, Viking bitch. I tried and I just don't think it's for me, at least until the writing turns more interesting. This just seems to be a CW show with some folks with superpowers."
Yeah, that they barely use. I mean, like, if I could teleport, I would, that's all I would be thinking about all day is like, how do I get really good at teleporting? No, Ty's like still playing basketball and stuff like that. That's the problem is like, once you figure out you have superpowers, like, because of shit about basketball and school and all that stuff, it's like, I can teleport.
Yeah, I know. They're not excited about their powers. That's the whole idea. That is the one thing that kind of disturbs me is, okay, you're kids, right? You're high school kids and you got powers.
Yeah.
And you're not excited about this at all.
You're not like, especially a drug addict. Like, she finally starts acting like a drug addict again and she's stealing hope, and she can throw light shanks. So,
yeah.
Come on.
That's actually what Philip A. Demick said. So what I liked about the Groundhog Day episode was that Tandy got to practice her dagger throwing. Yeah, I actually kind of like that with the terrors. She's just sitting there and just not even looking, like flink, and she flings her daggers and just hitting them in the head.
Well, and that was the interesting thing, and that was kind of the thing we were hoping the show would do, is get kind of magical and out there, because this show really could. It's way too grounded. Way too grounded.
It could honestly be their Swamp Thing if they really, really went down to it.
Yeah. And oh my, and there's a bunch of Marvel characters they could throw in this show and have a lot of fun with. So, and this could open the door. I mean, it should be on Hulu with the Runaways, at the very least. I would hope Netflix, and that could open the door for the Marvel monsters, which is the one thing in the MCU they have not gotten near yet, which is my favorite part.
I mean, you could even bring Blade in, because I mean, you're in New Orleans,
dude. Blade, Swamp Thing, Brother Voodoo. I mean, just everything.
Yeah. Well, Swamp Thing is DC.
Not Swamp Thing. I'm sorry, Man Thing. Man Thing. I meant to say Man Thing. I misspoke.
Grevlin, yes, Viking bitch. Actually, I've always been an old soul, so my childhood is sprinkled throughout my years, I suppose. Artemis Over Easy, but I would have liked to have seen where that came from and not assume like the powers are the only cool thing about this, in my opinion. And I felt they brushed over like that. Yeah, she can throw. They had to ramp her up a bit, and I did kind of like that they did it by just having her in Ivan Hess's mind, and that she's been there, that she's lost count when she's gotten into the hundreds of how many times she's done it. And I kind of like that, to tell you the truth, just to boost them up a little bit. And now we just need Tyrone to get his powers boosted up a little bit more, so he gets to use them a bit more.
Random, you're right. She said it takes at the very least 6 months to get over the emotional addiction and the mental addiction that Viking did. After the physical part, You have to deal with the depression and all kinds of stuff. And well, your dopamine levels need to level out again, if they get level at all. Part of the thing with being an addict is you don't have normal dopamine levels, period. So, and it jacks them up even worse. And, that's again, besides the physical stuff. Yeah, it's really bad stuff to get addicted to. That's why I was always kind of a fan of speed, because you could sleep it off in a couple days. A week. A week.
And you'd be asleep for that entire week, too.
You would be asleep the entire week.
Leonard Thomas III says, I like the slow burn since I have not been a fan of Cloak and Dagger. In some cases, the slow burn reminds me of Daredevil first season, 13 episodes to get a suit.
Right. Miles White says the show is basically making him very angry. Angry. It's a frustrating show. It's a frustrating show because partially because if it was just bad, we'd be just roasting it right now. We'd have no problem with it, but it's not. There's great potential here, and plus maybe we're being a little soft on it because I'll speak for myself. I love these characters a lot, so
I do too. Yeah, but I like it. I'm not down on this show. And one thing we forgot to mention too at the very end, we have Avita actually carving the Tandy figure as well to go along with the Tyrone figure.
Oh yeah. That was very important too.
I forgot about that. Yes,
and
that's part of the voodoo.
It's good to see so many people are addicted to Nerdrotic. We are addicted to you in the chat. We are.
Yes. Artemis Overeas says, I'm only on episode 8, and it may just be me, but is the voodoo auntie and the Thai girlfriend storyline kind of annoying? The girlfriend storyline is annoying, but it was needed to get voodoo auntie Chantel into it so that they can actually talk about why New Orleans needs these two people all the time. So that it's a cycle. And that's where your supernatural stuff comes into it. And I kind of like that they brought that supernatural into it. The girlfriend storyline is kind of, it was forced more than anything else.
Yeah.
And it could have been done better. But yeah, they needed it in order to bring in Auntie Chantel.
And I want to see more of the supernatural. I want to see more of the voodoo.
Me too.
Auntie Chantel, just spitting out liquor. Which, even though I haven't drank in a long time, it's just something I can't imagine doing. I want to see like her go into the, the spirit realm or something. We got a little bit of it in the Lotus Eaters episode, but
yeah, well, that was kind of her, almost kind of like using a divining rod to find out where the evil was. I know what
she was doing. I understood it. I just like spitting out liquor. It's an alcoholic thing. You wouldn't understand. It's like somebody leaving a half a glass of beer. Alcoholics cannot fathom how somebody could not finish a glass of beer and walk out of the room. Yeah.
Miles White says, I'm sad to say this. Please respect my opinion, but I'm done watching Cloak and Dagger because the show has been making me angrier recently.
Yeah, I kind of read that one. I paraphrased. Don't be angry. If it's making you angry, stop watching. It's not that important. It's anger is not a gift, no matter what Rage Against the Machine says. It is not.
Mary Ashmead says she's using their hope and what's sucking it out of them. She's basically taking their euphoria of their hope and using it to make herself euphoric and herself uplifted, if you will. And that's what she's getting addicted to and leaving them without that euphoria, without that hope. So it's bringing them down.
Congrats, Mary Ashmead. 6 years sober tomorrow. Outstanding. Go to a meeting, get your chip.
And Mork says, it's fine, Miles. I also don't like Cloak and Dagger. I'm here for the hashtag best chat ever.
Nice.
Aren't we all?
Random says, I need to go to a place where shrooms are legal. Probably should use them.
Amsterdam, I think, right?
Amsterdam. And I think they're pretty easy on it. Actually, here in California, I don't think they even bust you for that. They used to bust you hard for that, but I don't think they do. And there has been a lot of studies that those do help a lot of things, to be honest with you. they can be addicting as anything else. But no, I've read a lot of stuff that they can be very helpful.
Sorry, this is actually a mean one, but it's actually pretty funny at the same time. Philip A. Demick says, I thought the one positive about Stan Lee being a prisoner in his own home was no more random cameos, but no.
Oh, man.
That's wrong, but funny. Artemis over Easy's. Oh, no, he's talking about some other things here. Miles White says, I'm only 23. Jesus, at least Luke Cage wasn't this depressing. To the cast and crew of the show, please respect my opinion. I'm truly upset by this show. I will no longer watch the show and Freeform.
Probably shouldn't. Yeah, just don't. Happy thoughts. Watch the Venture Brothers. Coming
Watch
this
Legion.
Venture Brothers will make you happy instantly.
Yeah, Venture Brothers will make you happy.
The sets, the acting, etc., are all good, but I can't get past the angst. Did you read that one from Artemis already?
I did. No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sees all the set, yeah, and literally wanted the writers to kill off Tandy 2 episodes ago.
And I just have to read this because it's kind of funny. Apple Crow says, I do believe that the Death Star is flat.
That was funny.
Yeah.
Bad Bunny, no, it is never too early if to say I told you so. No, you can say it. It's fine. We accept that. Freely accept that.
Jody says at Miles White, Freeform's target demographic evidently is much younger than I thought. I figured it would at least be including the 20-somethings. No.
Yeah. And we're gonna have to wrap it up because I have to go get Mrs. Nerdrotic from the airport now.
All right.
So now is the time. Sorry, folks.
Now the end is near.
Yeah. Now did I just see I think Doomcock. I got a Doomcock notification, so you can go over and watch Doomcock when you're all done.
Right.
We got.
I just want to say one last one. Johnny Pappas, I can leave a beer. I can't understand being addicted to alcohol. When the doctor asks me how many drinks a week, I have to do math.
My answer was simply all of them. All of them. So doors and corners, right, Mako? And I'll try to think Michelle Flores,
Panama
user, Panama. What's up?
Michelle
What's up,
Flores
Panama?
is from Panama. Thank you.
That's awesome. Bad Bunny, Apple Crow, Artemis over Easy, Matt S, Jody, Viking Bitch, Morks. Gosh, golly, Pen Farm Girl, Crazy Carlos, Ed Brewer, dude, what is up, Ed Brewer? How's it going? Apple Crow, Mary Ashby, did I say that one already? Yep. I'm trying to do this really fast. Marcus Kahn,
Random Game User 42, Crazy Carlos,
yeah,
which
I already said those, and
Marcus Kahn, yeah, you said that.
Morks, James Hayes. I'm almost done here. Skit, the showrunner was ex story editor for Heroes, $2 super chat. We totally missed that.
Oh yeah, we did miss that.
SKT, I'm sorry. I'm glad we caught that. All right, and if we missed anybody, I'm really sorry. But yeah, I just got the message saying we landed. So I want to thank the super chatters who were SKT or Skit or Skit or Snicked, and Feisty Fan for $4.99, Mary Ashmead for $2, Crazy Carlos for $19.99. Crazy Carlos, come on, Loco Carlos. Dakota Stanton $5, Movie Finobi $9.99, and Dakota Stanton for $5. You are wonderful, wonderful people. You make this show, okay? We rely heavily on the chat because it's the best chat on YouTube. Thank you to all the wonderful patrons. Please go see our schedule at nerdrotic.com. Our next show will be tomorrow night, Friday Night Tights, and there's
Ancient
lots of
Aliens
and Ancient Aliens tomorrow, 7:30 ish, with the very in parentheses ish on that one. Check out Dennis on Twitter. It's at the Force. Mine is at Nerdrotics. Dennis, take us out.
Children of Earth, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out.
And may the small folks sing songs of your greatness. See you tomorrow night, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we will be back for the finale of Cloak and Dagger. Ciao, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thanks.